Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. I said on Friday that I thought the Saints would come out and play their best game of the year and they would dominate the Panthers. And if you look up at the score at the end of the game, and I tell you that the Saints blocked a kick, fumble, block kick, whatever you want to call it, and scooped it and brought it in for a touchdown. They won the game 28-6. You go, all right, that's, they took care of business. I mean, if you're someone who's totally out on Dennis Allen, totally out on Pete Carmichael, totally out on Derek Carr, totally out on this team, don't care about winning the South, like, if you're in that mold, then nothing I say matters to you, and that's fine because I'm pretty close to aligned with you. If you're trying to grind this thing out and win the South and get a home playoff game, then you could look at this and go, well, the defense, stood tall and you ran the ball pretty well and you're tied for first place. And I think that's I think 80% of Saints fans are saying this sucks. I think 20% are saying let's try to win the South. And there's something to be taken from this game for everyone. Sounds like you have something you want to chime in there with, Beck.
Just a few stats I noted looking at the box score.
I probably have the same ones. Let's see.
The Saints, 207 yards of total offense.
That's the first stat I have.
The Panthers had 303 total yards of offense. They actually had outgained the Saints by 100 yards.
Yes, they did.
And they had 119 passing yards. The Saints had 119 passing yards.
Yeah, Carr on the day finished with 119, and a lot of that was late in the game.
50 of them were that
drive.
A.T. Perry pass at the end of the game.
Correct. So the stats I had, which basically mirror yours, that the Saints had 207 total yards. They turned the ball over. They lost time of possession by 10 minutes. They were 3 of 10 on third down. Like, there's a lot of bad. There's a lot of bad. But Carolina sucks on every level. They've got a quarterback whose completion percentage is atrocious. At one point, he was 4 of 14. And at that point, when the Panthers were running the football, they decided to throw a 9 route outside the numbers with Delonte Taylor in coverage to DJ Chark, and it was incomplete, and they turned the ball over on downs. They're terrible, and they showed that on Sunday. My thing with the Saints, and because the message is pretty hollow when it's every single Monday, I say mainly the same thing. But this is something a little different based on the happenings yesterday, there are a lot of teams in the NFL that aren't great and aren't awful. And the Saints aren't great and they're not awful. They're 6-7 in the NFL. They have an easy schedule, but they're not awful. But the Saints fans have had greatness so close in the rearview mirror, they want greatness and they know they're not seeing it. So I don't think there are a lot of teams in the NFL that are hovering around 500 whose fans aren't showing up, whose fans are booing, whose quarterback's getting in yelling matches with the offensive staff or the offensive line almost every week. It feels so toxic from the outside. I'm not in there. And Dennis Allen may get up there and say, folks are saying this and that outside. On the inside, we're all good. We're fine. But you hear the players acknowledging the boos, and they are saying, I understand it. Like, we got to give them something a little bit better to cheer for. But it still sucks to show up to work every single Sunday and be in your dome where it was once one of the great environments in the league and have half the stadium empty and a third of the stadium booing their lungs out. It's so toxic for the level of production. They won by 22 points in the NFL, and I haven't seen one person express any sort of satisfaction with that result. Not one. None of my friends, none of the media, the beat writers. It doesn't sound like the players were all hunky-dory. It just looks bad. Kat Terrell's going to join us in the second hour, and she will know a lot better than we can. And that's honestly most of what I'm going to ask her about. Because I can watch the game. I can see the highlights. I can go through the stats and give you statistics and trends and some opinion. But the fact is that I'm on the outside. I'm at home on Sunday, and I'm in here when Dennis Allen meets with the press on Monday. I don't know. And I certainly don't have any inside sources over there that I'm about to tap into to try to get the pulse of the black and gold. I just know that when Derek Carr got sacked yesterday and he and Eric McCoy started yelling at each other, and somebody had to step in front and separate them. And I just don't think that's happening everywhere, every week for teams that are middling in the NFL. And so that's what the big concern is. And so they play New York next week, the Giants, who were awful. It's in the Dome. They ought to do something similar to this. And you're right there in the thick of things. But as I said 3 weeks ago, as I said 4 weeks ago, as I'll say now, like, I'm not going to hang on every play begging that they'll win this atrocious division and get annihilated by Dallas or Philly or Seattle or whoever it is. Because that's what it feels like is coming if they can get this together. Nobody in the South has gotten it together to this point. It's just a bunch of 6 and 7, and then whatever the Panthers just tried it out there yesterday. But the offense is sputtering. It's inconsistent. Even though Kamara got things, and Williams both kind of got things going on the ground in the first half, but then there was nothing through the air. I'm not going to completely dump the entire interception on Carr. That's a heck of a play by a really athletic defensive lineman to turn that ball over. But I am going to place some blame on Carr when twice a month he's in a yelling match with somebody. The guy's tough. He's going out there playing hurt, and that is beyond doubt. But he's also sparring with people too often. And that's just not endearing when the level of play is not very good. Tom Brady undressed his teammates constantly, verbally. And they were winning Super Bowls, so no one cares. You do that when your offense isn't performing and you're completing 40% of your throws and you're turning the ball over and throwing for 119 yards on the worst team in the league. It just doesn't play. So thanks to Carolina for being a dumpster fire and handing the Saints a win. Hopefully the same thing can happen with New York next week, but I'm just curious about the vibes and the energy and the relationships and the synergy in the organization as opposed to, hey, can you eke this thing out at 8 and 9? That's not really where our head is. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.